waiting for it to go live. This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John DiNallo. And it is Tuesday. We're glad to be back.
No, it's not, Karen.
Wait a second. It's not Tuesday. It's
No.
Wednesday. Wow. Why
Our
are we
time
here on a
machine brought us
Wednesday?
our time machine brought us to another day.
Yeah,
How about
I'm
that?
confused.
How about
I'm
that?
confused,
How
guys.
about that, folks?
Let me explain. We'll give Karen the afternoon off since she's already lost her calendar sense here. I am Paul Seaburn, the host of What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news show. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. The lovely lady whose voice was in your ear just a second ago is Karen Hale, who is the media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, our platform. She is also our co-host, and Phil likes to make, gives valuable commentary on all of our funny stuff. Go visit her at newclevelandradio.net, where you find us. You find all of the great podcasts that she has there. Also in your ear, I think you may have heard him laughing, is John DiNallo, our other co-host, color commentator, and host of What in the World of Sports. Hey, John, how are you?
Oh, I'm well, Paul and Karen, and it's another great day for another great podcast. So,
Absolutely.
John always sets the bar high for us. So that's that's what we need. That's what we need, because I usually bring it back down or crawl underneath it. Or so we've got some great stuff for you today on What in the World. Boy, some of the some stories I really had fun researching and writing about. I want to mention that I am also associated with mysteriousuniverse.org. I am the editor and head writer there. Many of the stories that I write there are more of a paranormal vein, ghost and cryptids and things like that. So I do talk about those on What in the World. In fact, we've got a Bigfoot story today that I know John is all excited about.
Wow.
But
can't wait.
We tend on What in the World to go more to the weird and funny side. When you go to newclevelandradio.net, check out our sponsor. That is Yes I Can Coaching with none other than Karen Hale. And we also want to give a shout out to our favorite lacrosse team, the Panther City men's team down in Arlington, Texas, where we have a lot of listeners. We like to give shout outs to our listeners. I may have a couple today. I don't know. I haven't looked at my notes since rehearsal, which I may have been today, may have been yesterday. I don't know. I have to.
I don't know. I can't recall either.
That's right. Don't worry. Next week we're back on Tuesdays, I think. Yeah, we're back on Tuesday. So let's get right to it. What do we got today? Boy, if you've been watching my Facebook feed this week, we've had some very unusual stories. I'll be expanding on them today. We've got some Grammy news that the media missed. You're hearing it first on What in the World. Some Grammy news that the media missed, including Joni Mitchell's favorite sport. John, you're going to love this one.
Okay.
Yeah. A Bigfoot sighting in Utah. We've got photos as well. An animal mob in Florida. And by mob, I don't mean a large group of people, but I mean a large group of animals of the Godfather persuasion. Figure that out. A rusty nuclear missile was found in a garage in Washington State. So this is a great story. We'll be talking about that. World's largest fishing boat is in Denmark, of all places. I don't know how they get it in and out of the canals, but we're going to go visit them. And more odd news, some world records, some trivia. John's got a great sport for us, as always. And then at the end, we play Bluff the Co-host, everybody's favorite weird news show. So let's get right to it. I know that John watched the Grammys because he is a huge fan of Miley Cyrus. Not her music. He's a huge fan of Miley Cyrus, though.
Truth be told.
That's right. Did you watch the Grammys, by the way?
Yes. Annette and I both watched the Grammys, and we both came away with a very, very good impression. I thought that Trevor Noah was very good, and I thought that the performances by the artists were good. it just had a great vibe to it. Sometimes the Grammys can be, I don't know, not necessarily our cup of tea,
Right.
but I thought it was really a great show on
Or an
Sunday.
award show, yeah, you're right. It was a
Good.
very well done award show. Karen, you watched it too? Yeah.
No,
Very no, okay, but you've heard about it. And okay, you know what we're talking about. So I watched it. I watched the whole thing. One thing I learned from the Grammys that I didn't know, and then that is that inflation must really be bad because rich people can't afford underwear these days. Um, I don't know. But Miley Cyrus, perfect example. John, your favorite star.
Yeah, I was going to say
Sure
that
that
was an eye opener, so to speak. But
I
yeah,
oh yeah, there were a lot of things open. Let's put it that way. Okay. Now I would have suspected that John would have turned the show off as soon as Taylor Swift walked out and she didn't have a football jersey on. So I'm proud of you, John, that you stayed with it.
well, I was in the moment, I was in the moment. So
Well, I don't know if you knew this, but Joni Mitchell, I think I have a photo here to go along with this little bit here. Let's get our photos up here. And that reminds me to tell everybody that in addition to being on Spotify and Apple and all the other podcast platforms, we are also on YouTube. A link can be found on my Facebook page and also on Karen's Facebook page, newclevelandradio.net, and at the website. So by all means, check us out. I have photos that go with a lot of the stories, so including this one right here. So here's a photo of the Grammy Awards there to go along with the Grammy Awards. So you didn't anybody knew a football fan. She actually she likes the players. Her favorite players are the ones that are in the pit, so to speak, the offensive and defensive players in the pit. In fact, the song that she sang, the original lyrics to that song were I've looked at lines from both sides now, offensive and defensive lines. Nobody would believe that she was such a football fan, so they had her change it to I've looked at love and all the other stuff that she looked at.
I never knew
Did
that.
you know that, did you, John?
I did not know that at all, Paul. Brand new information for me.
wow,
Wow.
interesting.
Let me fix my sound here. Okay. The so here's some other things that I didn't know. I had another feed after the show was over. I found this feed streaming platform that was showing some of the after parties, and boy, some strange people showed up at the after parties. I don't know if you saw this. This was now from what I understand, this was someone, a famous star's sibling, looking for booze after the after party. So here she is. This is the lost Rod Stewart. Rhonda Stewart is her name here. Did you, have you ever seen Rod? This is Rod Stewart in what looks like my grandmother's coat, and definitely my grandmother's babushka wrapped around his neck, holding up a
Exactly.
bottle of scotch. I'm sure.
I'm sure he's
Isn't
going to
that
wear
wild?
that same outfit when he performs at Brown Stadium.
Oh yeah, that's right. He'll be coming here in September with Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Yeah. The so I it, and this is not the first time that Sir Rod has done this. Here's another photo that I found here. Here's Sir Rod looking an awful lot like Mrs. Doubtfire in this photo.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a sweater on like Mrs. Doubtfire. He's carrying a man purse. He's got what looks like a necklace around his neck. The hairstyle, his hair is actually combed, which is unusual for Sir Rod. So
Really?
I don't know. If you go to my Facebook page, so some of my friends, Carolyn King in particular, a friend of the show, she sent me another photo that went along with these. So apparently, he's really starting to look more like Mrs. Doubtfire than Maggie May in his old age. So
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. So speaking of music, we had a couple of music stories here. There's a church in Germany, in the German town of Halberstadt. It's called the Burkhardi Church, and it's unusual because it has an organ, a specially modified organ, that is playing the world's longest and slowest musical composition. I have a photo of the organ right here. So this is a real working organ with a platform built around it. And it's been playing this song since 2001. The song is called As Slow as Possible by the avant-garde composer John Cage. And the reason why this was in the news this week is because it's been playing since 2001. It rarely changes chords. And it just so happened last week, it changed chords. So everybody was all excited. So I had to hear more of this. So I found a recording of the whole thing since 2001. I didn't have 23 years to listen to it, so I sped it up as fast as I could, and I played it. And you would not believe it sounded just like In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't know that was an added feature there, Paul, to it.
The world's longest rock song.
Right. Right.
This song will not finish until the year 2640. So how does it work, you may ask? They put sandbags on the pedals to hold it down so that there doesn't have to be a person there. They put sandbags on them, and so the tone just plays over and over and over again. In fact, a lot of people told me that when I played the accordion, it sounded like I was using sandbags on the keys. That's why I moved on.
So hard on yourself, Paul.
So the bellows keep the constant tone going through there. And this is a Catholic church. So, this tone is playing constantly. That means nobody ever falls asleep during the sermons. It's a perfect church for me. In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. I want to mention that, it's a good time to bring up some In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida Iron Butterfly trivia. The song clocked in at just over 17 minutes, which coincidentally is the length of one side of a long playing record. For those of you kids out there, for the boomers all know what a long playing record is.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, the kids, I'm not even going to try and explain it. But I didn't realize that when they did the song in concert, it went for 35 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, Karen,
wow.
But this is for you. That was just enough time for every woman in the arena to go to the bathroom once. Because you got to wait in line and 35 minutes. So a lot of people talk about the song In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. John, I know you know this. What they were drunk when they wrote it. The real lyric was what?
In the Garden of Life.
Garden of Eden.
Garden of Eden. Okay, I'm sorry. Right, okay.
Right. Yeah, very close. Yeah, John has the more religious interpretation of it.
Sure.
But they rarely talk about the meaning of iron butterfly. Do you know by any chance, John, where they got that name from?
Well, wasn't it they were trying to have two ends of the spectrum, supposedly, right? Iron was going to be strong and butterfly was soft or something like that. It was supposed to be
that's right. They were
thing, right? If I got
the band leader said that he was looking for a name that was heavy and also beautiful. And they couldn't come up with one. But they opened for a band called Iron Butterfly while they were first starting out in California, and that band folded, so they stole the name from them.
Never knew that. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. They became Iron Butterfly. Now, if you Google Iron Butterfly, the band does not come up. It turns out that this is a term that was totally destroyed by the stock market. An Iron Butterfly in the stock market, get ready for this. A limited risk, limited reward strategy designed to have a high probability of earning a small limited profit when the underlying asset is believed to have a low volatility. I have no idea what that means. As far as I'm concerned, Iron Butterfly is the band that played In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida.
It's simple. That's right. Keep it simple. Both Paul and Karen, right? Exactly.
Who wants to, picking what those stockbrokers should have done is gone to another brokerage firm or to another stock exchange and stole a name from them, just like Iron Butterfly did. Don't go wrecking a good band name with
that's right.
Brokerage nonsense. Okay. All right, let's get to some animal stories here. I love the animal stories. So this one, this comes from Thailand. And let me show you the picture here while I talk about it, because it's such a great picture.
Woo!
This is some of 3,500 monkeys, macaque monkeys, at a shopping center in Laburi, Thailand. So they took over the shopping center, 3,500 monkeys. They had to shut down all the stores. The monkeys were harassing the customers. They were destroying windows and merchandise, forced the businesses to shut down. Investors are pulling out. It's awful. So they finally figured out why the monkeys were so mad. They went to see Planet of the Apes and it wasn't playing anymore. I would have been mad too. But looking at this photo, I mean, these monkeys are all over the place, and it brought a tear to my eye. Was seeing so many thousands of monkeys at a shopping mall. It reminded me of Black Thursday back before Black Friday, before Amazon took over and eliminated Black Friday and put it online. That's what everybody used to do. They'd run to the shopping mall and do their Christmas shopping the day after Thanksgiving. You remember that?
Oh, I remember that. Hey, Paul,
I'm thinking,
no,
yeah,
go ahead.
This is the kind of thing they should do in Florida, because I know they've got a lot of vacant shopping malls in Florida. They should convert them into places. And they've also got a lot of loose monkeys, because we talked about that last week, monkeys with herpes. Yeah. So that's what they should do. They should put up a sign, monkeys welcome, and just let the monkeys take over the shopping malls, get them out of the woods, out of the neighborhoods, spreading herpes amongst all the village down there, the villages, whatever that's called.
I have to say, Paul and Karen, though, this picture, this photo, it's very disturbing to me.
Yes.
Oh yeah. With all
very disturbing.
Yeah, no people. Yeah, it looks like there's a sheriff standing back there, just hand out his gun, but he's not going to do anything. Right. But you know what? You know where they all went? You know where they all ended up? Banana Republic.
Right, get your horn, get your horn. Oh, where's the horn at? Where's the horn at?
Oh, the horn. I'm sorry. There we go.
Good.
So,
very good.
So going back to Florida, I'm surprised this isn't a Florida story. So many of our weird stories come from Florida. Like cocaine sharks. We talked about sharks dragging cocaine out of the water, the monkeys spreading herpes. Now, the new story this week, bears on crack. This is so unbelievable. So a Florida state Congress member, I won't give his name, he's pushing a bill, House Bill 87, which will loosen regulations on hunting bears in Florida because, as he puts it, and I quote, bears high on crack are breaking into people's homes and standing in your living room, growling and tearing your house apart. Now, I can picture all the other stuff that he says bears are doing. The one part I can't get is, how do they light the crack pipe with their big paws and claws? I don't get that part. Everything else I can see a bear doing. But to answer that question, I have a picture of a bear smoking crack right here. So.
Oh no!
I love artificial intelligence. I love artificial intelligence. You can make anything appear. So there's a bear smoking crack. John, you've been down to Florida? Have you seen bears smoking crack while you were down there?
I have not seen. I've been to Florida and have not seen bears smoking crack. But is it possible that bears could also ingest cocaine without smoking by just eating it?
Probably.
Oh, yeah. Like the movie. Yeah, there was a movie about
it. The movie, right? No, that's another disturb. This is another Paul. This is disturbing. This is another disturbing photo here. But no, I can honestly say I've been to Florida a number of times, but I've never seen that. Thankfully.
Well, the theory is, and of course there's a theory. The theory is that animals are starting to organize like the mob. The mafia. You've got the monkeys with herpes, they're running the prostitution rings. You've got the cocaine bears, they're running the drug rings. The next thing you know, we're going to find out that the alligators are running the strip clubs. I think, I'd be afraid to go to Florida these days. I think the monkeys the animals are taking over.
Well, you got a point with that.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this back in the old days, and John and I have known each other for a long time. I think we saw Bears on Crack open for the Doobie Brothers. Do you remember that concert?
I remember seeing the Doobie Brothers, but I'm going to have to.
Bears on Crack.
I'm going to have to defer to your memory.
Here at the concession stand. That was it.
No, I don't think so.
John, when you go to Florida next month, okay?
Oh yeah.
Aren't you going in March?
No, actually, believe it or not, Karen, we're going next Wednesday. We're
Oh,
going Wednesday.
well,
So,
okay,
Wow.
take your tablet so you can take pictures and notations so that
Oh.
we have.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They
Definitely.
can write the
Oh,
trip
you
off.
know what? I'll be on the prowl, so to speak, for those
Hey.
animals. So I'll make sure I do that, Karen. Yeah, good idea.
Good idea. I agree. I agree. All right. So here's something else you can look for while you're down there. Have you seen the movie Finding Nemo? I think everybody, whether you have kids or not, I think everybody's seen Finding Nemo. The little orange clownfish was Nemo.
Yeah, sure.
Big
Many years
bluefish.
ago.
Yeah, big bluefish was Dory. I think I have a movie. There's a poster there from it.
Okay, right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, she was an Ellen fish, I think is what they were called. Um, so a study from Okinawa Institute of Science found that clownfish, which is what Nemo was, can count. They can actually count the vertical stripes on other fish like them, and they can determine which ones are friendly and which ones are enemy clownfish by how many stripes they have, which I didn't know. I thought they all had 3 stripes. So the scariest are the anemone, they call them, the anemone fish, which have barcodes. So they've got just, I got a ton of stripes. The most aggressive ones have 3 bars or more. So that would be these guys. The lower the number of bars, the less aggressive the fish are. Ironically, the ones with 3 bars are the ones that get the best cell phone signals.
Well, get the horn out.
Dory,
Thank
Dory,
you.
the Ellen fish over there, Dory, has no stripes. She has no bars. Although she sometimes acts like she's been to a bar, which I think was her problem. During the original run of Finding Nemo, that movie grossed $340 million in the United States and Canada, $530 million overseas, for a worldwide total of almost $900 million just in the first year it was out, making it
Wow.
the second highest grossing film of 2003. So Nemo's not afraid of money, that's for sure. I don't know what else. I don't know who all that money went to, if it went to Nemo or to Dory or who.
It went to Pixar.
Went to
Pixar,
Pixar.
right.
Here's
Right.
I have a picture.
For Disney. Right.
Oh, there's a real clownfish. There we go.
Aw.
Okay.
Yeah, aren't they cute? So Finding Nemo was the first movie. This is a franchise. So the next movie was Finding Dory. And now they're working on the third of the trilogy, which is called Finding Sushi. So I believe that's a horror movie version of
Okay.
okay. One more animal story. If you follow my feed on Facebook, you saw this one. I love this story. Veterinarians in Maryland performed surgery on a rat snake that came in with an unusual bulge in its belly, and they were shocked, absolutely shocked. There's a photo of it. They were absolutely shocked when they removed a gear shift knob from the stomach of the rat snake.
Wow.
Who knew snakes could drive a stick? And
Really?
yeah, how did they operate the stick and steer and use the pedal? That I couldn't figure that part out. But there it is. Somehow that gear shift got into that snake. Could be that this snake was not a rat snake. It may have been a Dodge Viper, or possibly or a Mustang Cobra.
Oh, you're horning yourself there.
But here's how bad it was. They had a young medical team at this clinic, and they had to call in one of the retired veterinarians, not to help with the surgery, but to explain to them what a gear shift knob was used for. None of them had ever seen.
Right. That would be something that would be new to younger people, right? Sure, they wouldn't know what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Generation X, Y, and Z. I don't think they know what a standard shift might be.
No, they had no idea.
So here's an almost local story. This one comes from by way of the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force down in Dayton, Ohio. A wonderful museum. I've been there. It's a great. John, I don't know if you've been there.
Have not gotten there yet. It's on my bucket list. Yeah.
You would absolutely love it. So they got a call from a guy in Bellevue, Washington, who said believe it or not, that he had a nuclear missile in his garage and he'd like to donate it to the museum. Now, he was not kidding. Here's a picture of the
Wow.
nuclear missile. That's right, in his garage. So the museum immediately called the cops in Bellevue, Washington. And sure enough, they found it. They went, there's his, you can see the garage doors. He really had this rusty old nuclear missile in his garage. The neighbors were all young kids. They had no idea what it was. He told them it was an old Rocket 88, an Oldsmobile Rocket 88.
Oh,
And they thought, oh,
sure.
yeah, he must be restoring an old car.
Wow.
But they had to call the bomb squad because they didn't know if it was armed or not, even though he said, they couldn't run the risk. That's the worst day. I can't imagine being on the bomb squad, having to go out and see if you have to disable a nuclear missile. Good day to call in sick.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Boy,
Where did he get it from?
on eBay. Where else? People sell this stuff, Karen. I know. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. That's my guess, or some military, used supply center.
Wow. Okay.
And worse thing, they had to take it out so that the bomb squad could look at it. And he's got to move lawnmowers and bicycles and all this other stuff to get to the nuclear missile in its garage. And what would you do with it? They didn't ask him. I didn't see in the interview what he was planning to do with it. Obviously, he didn't want it anymore because he's donating it to the museum. However, I'll do a shout out to our friend down in Texas, Mark. He can vouch for this because we talk about food down in Texas all the time. If this rocket, this missile were in Texas, what somebody would do would be they would turn it into a barbecue smoker, because they turn everything into barbecue smokers down in Texas. Karen, ask your son about that.
I will. Yeah.
Some pictures. Look at this. This is a barbecue smoker that looks an awful lot like a bomb.
Yeah.
He looks like a rocket. It doesn't look like a rocket, right? It does.
Or a torpedo, John. Maybe a torpedo.
More precise, yes.
Wait till you see this one. So this is the world's largest barbecue smoker. It's got I don't know if that's the giant propane tank on the back and the shape of the state of Texas.
Right.
It's pulled by a semi truck. It's huge. It's absolutely massive. I think I've got another one here. Yeah, there's another one. So people build these things. Anything that's metal, even not metal, but metal is the preferred thing. A lot of people just use garbage can, but people go all out and they make things as big. So I could just see the nuclear missile, if it were in Texas, being a barbecue smoker. In fact, here's one that's pretty close. This is actually some sort of Russian missile. There's a not a swastika, hammer and sickle.
It's the hammer and sickle.
Where did he get that, Karen?
I don't know. Wow.
The best part of it is the little radioactive symbol on the bottom.
Yep.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes it.
I've had barbecue sauce that I thought was radioactive. So one more food story here. So this one comes from the University of Nottingham, which is in England. I want to point that out because it's a strange story. They've come up with a way to create blue cheese, which, John, what color is blue cheese?
It's blue.
Blue, that's right. Well, they've come up with a way to create blue cheese that is not blue. This blue cheese is yellow-green, it's pink, it's brown. They said that, and all variations in between. The testers who tested this blue cheese says it tasted just like real blue cheese, but a little milder. To me, if this doesn't start a war between England and France, I don't know what does, because the French are proud of, they're proud of their wine, they're proud of their cheese. You don't go with Roquefort, especially you can't even call if you try to make Roquefort cheese anywhere but in Roquefort, you can't call it Roquefort. So
that's
I'm
an interesting point you
upset.
just shared with us, Paul. That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Would you try that?
I would.
I'm a big
fan of Gorgonzola cheese.
Oh,
some of
yeah.
our some of our Italian American viewers or listeners will know about gorgonzola cheese.
Gorgonzola, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Good
which is
stuff.
good.
Yeah.
Which is good stuff. So yeah.
You know, and so I mentioned it's the University of Nottingham in England. To me, the British, instead of messing with French cheese, they ought to be fixing the taste of some of the food that they have. You know, like maybe get the spots out of the spotted dick, get the toad, get the toad out of the hole. You know, we talked about that. Bubbles and squeaks, get the bubbles and squeaks out of bubbles and squeaks. You get the idea. You know,
Yeah, I get the idea. Yep.
fix your home first, British food scientists, before you go messing with our blue cheese and blue cheese breast. Okay, so while I'm on a roll here, let's go to Harvard, back in the United States. Dr. Deidre Barrett, who's a clinical and evolutionary psychologist at Harvard, she says that dogs dream, which I think anybody who's a dog owner knows. You know, you see your dog, you can see their eyes fluttering and their feet moving when they're asleep. You can pretty much figure out that they're dreaming. She claims she studied dogs and that dogs are actually dreaming about everyday experiences. And the thing that they dream about the most is the thing that they're around the most, their owner. So when you see your dog, yeah, when you see, that's a cute little dog there. That's to get us more viewers. The so if you see your dog dreaming, it's probably dreaming about you. And if it's dreaming and farting, it's definitely dreaming about you.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Now I've had a number of dogs. My theory was that they were dreaming about squirrels because their feet are always moving. I'm thinking they must be either chasing squirrels in their sleep or they're licking their nuts, thinking about squirrels in their sleep. Either way, they're thinking about squirrels. They're dreaming about squirrels. All right. This is for you, Karen. I'm sure you saw this story. A Pizza Hut in Ontario, Canada had to close due to an emergency. So, when a restaurant closes, they put a sign on the door to let patrons know that they will be back shortly. So, unfortunately, they didn't check the sign very carefully. And I'll read the sign to you. It says, due to unforeseen circumcisions, the dining room will be closed this evening. Sorry for the inconvenience. Open for takeout and delivery only. Let me tell you, a restaurant that serves food by the slice should not be talking about circumcision. That's
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly on that one, Paul. Wow.
Can you believe that no one caught that? They said that despite the sign, there were plenty of takeout orders, but nobody left a tip for some reason.
Oh, get your hands up for that one.
Yeah.
So Karen,
Yes.
the opposite of this could also happen. You've got a circumcision sign on a restaurant. What about on the door of a mall? Am I pronouncing that correctly? A
Mall. Yes.
A mall, yeah. Maybe a sign say something came up and he said he'll be back in a snippy. Probably also not a good thing to say. All right.
Yeah.
So last week, John, you remember this. This wasn't in your sports segment. I talked about the marathon runner who was disqualified because he was smoking cigarettes all through the marathon and yet managed to run under 4 hours, 3 hours and 40 minutes, a fantastic time for somebody who was in his 50s. You remember that story?
Yes, I do.
We got another one for this week. Guy by the name of Daniel Fairbrother was stopped by the police in England, in Stevenage, England, because he was training for a marathon, so he says, while carrying a refrigerator on his back. If you don't believe it, here's a photo of Daniel with his running shoes on, his gloves, his hat, and a refrigerator attached to his back, which the cop naturally assumed he stole. So, because it was night, this is a different picture, but it was night. Daniel claimed he was actually training for the London Marathon, where he hopes to break the world record, get this, for the fastest marathon while carrying a household appliance. Yeah, the record for refrigerators is 4 hours and 52 minutes. Set by this guy. Here's a photo of him. So he looks like he's in a bit of pain carrying that.
Yeah.
Carrying that. They had to be close to the finish line here. Turns out Nike has heard about this and they're getting in on it. So they're making special shoes just for runners who carry refrigerators during the marathon. It's called the Nike Frigid Air.
Yeah,
the horn's getting worn out here. You know, I used to run marathons. I can't imagine running with a refrigerator on my back. I hated the little safety pin that held your number on the front of your shirt. Yeah. I took those off. I put tape. Tape was weightless. So the guy who set the record was doing a fundraiser. My guess is he was raising money for the back surgery afterwards. But
probably
that's what they do.
That's a pretty good guess, Paul, I think.
Yeah, they take pledges and they run with the now the record said for household appliance. So, if I was picking a household appliance to carry while running, refrigerator would have not been my first choice. Toaster, maybe. Can opener, John, is a can opener a household appliance?
Yeah, and now in that same vein, I'm thinking of like a pizza cutter.
A pizza cutter.
Yeah, I like that.
And you can
go. Yeah,
pizza
that's
cutter
a household
with
appliance too. That's right. I'm gonna see if we have if there's a Guinness World Record for that marathon with a pizza cutter. I'll start training if they do. Okay.
And then you can have the pizza when you're done. Then I mean.
Oh, definitely. Well, you have a pizza beforehand. You got a carbo load, so.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. In fact, I could use the pizza cutter to stab the runners in front of me. I could actually win. Yeah. Well, the bar just got lowered, didn't it? Okay.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
I'm wearing my Bigfoot sweatshirt, which means that John has been anxiously awaiting for. So this one comes from Utah. We've had some Bigfoot sightings in Utah. So this one, very recent, just last week, a man saw something walking on a snow-covered hill, snow-covered mountain, the mountain Utah, and he had a phone, but he also had like a rangefinder, so he could see much farther, like a telescope used on guns. So he held it up to his phone, so he got a much better photo. And here's the photo that he took. The photo is on the left, by the way. The one on the right was another Bigfoot shot that we had talked about earlier, late last year. That one was in Colorado. So conveniently, or good for us that they circled both of the Bigfoots with a red circle so you could find them. Now, before I ask John about this, the witness said that this was broad daylight, 9,000 feet elevation on the mountain, 3 miles away from him, and it was walking uphill. He said, so that had to be real because a human being could not walk that fast walking uphill. Now it's also cold, and it's hard to see, but I don't see that Bigfoot has a hat or a coat on, which, I always wondered this. Don't Bigfoots have mothers that, tell them, before you go out, put your boots on.
Yeah, dress them properly, right? To dress them properly.
Yeah, put a hat on. I know you're covered with fur, but put a hat on. So they said that there was 90 inches of snow on this particular mountain, and yet it was moving very fast and effortlessly across the slope. My guess is this wasn't a young Bigfoot. This was an older Bigfoot. And he was planning for the day when he could tell his children, when I was in school, we used to walk up this mountain and then back down again in the snow. You kid Bigfoot, you got to have that little Bigfoot yellow bus pick you up, or I got to take you to school. That's what I think. Anyways, so before I ask John, I'll come back to this, John. Before I ask you what you think, let me reinforce the story. A helicopter pilot saw the video and flew over and saw these footprints. Now, the helicopter pilot says this is really proof that this was a Bigfoot. Not so much that because they look like Bigfoot footprints, was because they were in a straight line. And he said if it were a human being, it wouldn't be walking in a straight line. Now, I can kind of believe that because we're in Utah and there's no booze in Utah. So, if Bigfoot was drinking some brandy to stay warm, then he would be staggering all over the place. But he's in a straight line because it's in Utah. Um, and they never stop to make snow angels. I always wondered about that. How come they must not have religion? They don't stop to make snow angels. So John, let's go back to this photo here. There you go. On the photos on the left. I'll let you, it's blurry. Let me say that much. We got a red circle on it. What do you think?
Well, I have to be the voice of dissent again, at least on the photo on the left, because it's really hard to distinguish. I mean, it could be a creature, but there's nothing that's identifiable to me that says that is a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot.
Well, would you change your mind if you saw it moving?
Well, I think that would make it more credible.
Yeah.
But again, it's just hard for me to get my head around that, Paul and Karen.
I agree. It's
No.
very blurry photo. Even though it stands out, and there is a shadow. You don't always see a shadow. So
Right, I can see that.
Yeah.
The photo on the right, a little bit more convincing, but I have to say, I don't see anything that's totally recognizable and saying
Yeah.
that it would be a Bigfoot. So
I don't remember if you were there the day we talked about that one. That was in Colorado. That Bigfoot actually, or alleged Bigfoot, actually sat down.
yes,
And the
right.
people who took the video were on a train, and there was some controversy over how did they know that there was going to be a Bigfoot right there and have their phone available. At least this guy in Utah looked like he was looking for something, and he had the range finder and
Yeah, right. And he was on target, so to speak. Right.
yeah. But how about the footprint? There's the footprints over there.
The footprints do lend some credibility to me, the way I see it. I mean, so obviously something created those footprints. Again, not sure it was from our friend Bigfoot.
Yeah, our friend. That's right. He's our. I don't know. After this story, he may not be our friend.
They
Okay.
all
All right,
look-
John.
they all look this exact same. Look at the format of the footprint. It's only
Yeah.
like he's using one foot.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like he's hopping on one foot.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe it was a young Bigfoot playing hopscotch. I don't know.
I don't know.
Or maybe he had frostbite on the other foot and he was
Ooh,
hopping on one foot
maybe.
because
Yeah.
it hurt.
That's a
Or
possibility too, right?
maybe he had a boot on the other foot and he didn't want to mess up all of us Bigfoot watchers seeing a bare foot and a boot side by side. I don't know. All right, I'm going to skip this next story because I want to get to the last one here. So we're about to talk to John with his sport. John, do you consider fishing to be a sport?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the Dutch shipbuilding company Royal Huisman has unveiled the world's largest ever sport fishing boat. Now, that's not it there. This is it here.
Wow.
This is it. Yeah. 171 feet long, six decks on this fishing boat. They said it combines the characteristics of a sport fish yacht with the comfort and space of a super yacht. To me, this is what happens when a billionaire sees Jaws for the first time.
And then that way he's got the bigger boat.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to need a bigger boat. He's got it.
Wow.
171 feet long.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. And so it's like 6 stories tall at least. Each one of those decks is a story. They wouldn't say who the owner was, but rumor has it the boat was delivered the day after it was ordered. So my guess is it could have been that Amazon guy who we know likes boats. No word on the price, but they said, the guy may have had to dig really deeply into his wallet because the next day he was seen digging worms instead of buying worms.
Okay. Well, that would stand to reason in a way. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I think I have another photo. Here's a photo from the front, from the back. I'm sorry, from the stern or the aft
Oh,
or whatever the heck it is.
right.
Uh, yeah.
Oh.
So how do you fish? This is my question. How do you fish from 6 stories up in the air? Uh, the poor worm must think it's skydiving. You know, it's falling and falling and falling. Finally, it hits the water, and then if you do catch something, it takes 10 minutes to haul your line back in again. That's 6 stories up, and people on the other decks. If you're wearing a hat or a wig, as that hook goes by, it's gonna grab onto your head, grab onto your wig. By the time it gets to the sixth deck, you've got fish, you've got wigs, you've got hats, you got a tire, you got all kind of stuff up there.
Wow, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't get this. I think it's somebody with way too much money and could be put to better use, like sponsoring What in the World. How about that, Karen? I know
That would be a noble cause.
Yep.
That's a noble cause.
I think it's
Yeah.
a real good cause.
Good cause. Good cause. All right. Well, that sports story leads us to our sports segment, What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. Regular listeners of the show know that John and I are old friends. We went to college together. We were fraternity brothers. Still are fraternity brothers. Back then, as well as now, John was my go-to guy when it comes to sports. He knows all kind of stuff about sports. So when he joined the show, I asked him, John, find us some sports that fit with the theme of What in the World. Real sport, sometimes strange, always funny. And John always manages to find a sport. This week is no exception. So, John, why don't you introduce your sport while I get your photos ready to go?
Oh, sounds good, Paul. Thanks for the introduction. So, our sport this week is really based on ancient activity with a modern twist. And the sport is 3D archery.
Ooh.
So, what started as a hunting practice is now a competitive sport that is currently gaining popularity throughout North America.
Wow.
Let's start at the bottom.
Okay.
Regular archery is the kind where participants shoot arrows at round bullseye targets. And then field archery replaces the round targets with cutouts of animals.
Okay.
And 3D archery then replaces those with life-size models of wild game, which makes it perfect for outdoor hunters getting ready for the real bow season.
So that's what we're looking at here. Even though that looks like it might be a live elk, that's actually a three-dimensional elk that this lady with a bow and arrow is about to shoot.
That's exactly right, Paul. So the 3D animals are set at various distances, which are often unmarked, as a way to accurately create an actual hunting environment. So to make it natural, they don't have any specific distance that's assigned. The 3D animals, they're made of foam, which requires the archers to use normal target arrows with thin tips instead of hunting arrows, which would tear up the foam targets.
Oh yeah, those big broad.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that?
And to the point on distances, the distances are set from 16 feet to 100 feet for unsighted bows. Archers must shoot 2 arrows at each target before moving on. Scoring zones are marked on the target, and scores of 11, 10, 8, and 5 are possible, depending on where the arrow hits the target.
And probably 0. If you miss it completely, you get a 0. Yeah.
So for those of you,
one of the other archers.
Yes, right. You don't want to hit them. So the animals, okay, they include deer, boars, turkeys, alligators, and get ready for this, dinosaurs.
Oh, wow.
Dinosaurs.
That ought to be fun.
So, and then there is no, right.
Yeah, these pictures, there's all kind of animals here. Okay, yeah.
But there is no rhyme and reason, as we said before, about setting the varying distances. So again, height and angles around in a course or forest and other terrain, it's really kind of a hodgepodge in that sense. Now, this exercises the whole body as archers need fitness and endurance as well as technical skill to hit the target. So that's part of the reason why there is no uniformity per se.
Ah,
So there's the logic behind that. Now, they must also be able to judge distances, shoot uphill and downhill, deal with changing light and also changing weather conditions, and sometimes very strenuous walking over uneven terrain. So even the terrain is not standardized.
wow.
And that makes sense if you think of it, okay? If you just
Right.
take any field or any open area per se. Now, in the last 10 years, 3D archery has grown to become a competitive sport rather than just, again, hunting practice. The major 3D archery groups are Karen, this is for you, the International Bow Hunting Organization, or the IBO, and the American Shooters Association, which is known as the ASA. Each organization is based in the eastern half of the US, and they have their own different rules and scoring methods. The biggest annual competition is the world title in 3D archery. And competitors are held in, again, several US states, with totals from each state being added together to then crown a single winner within individual divisions that are set up. There are also team and mixed team events for male and female archers. So, in closing, 3D archery sounds like a great sport, and you don't have to wear those red and blue cardboard glasses to compete. However, don't ever bring your bow when you go to see the 3D version of Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. Get
That would not
confused.
be
Yeah.
that would not be advisable. That would not be
Not-
good.
No, or Planet of the Apes or any of those animal
Right,
movies. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's an
that's funny.
interesting sport. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of women in the photos I noticed. So it looks like it's you know, for women who don't want to get into actual, the killing of animals in hunting, you can
Right.
still in what sounds like a very strenuous fitness type of activity.
Yeah, it's really a useful exercise when you think of it. Depending
Yeah.
on how far you want to walk, with again the distances being open, and having a competitive slice to it as well.
Now, the animals look pretty realistic in those photos. This I like this one in particular. This is why I stopped at this one. This is a fake ram, with the curly horn, sheep or ram. Got some bows already in it. These guys, the hunters, are standing around it. It appears that the fake sheep or the fake ram has a muzzle on it. Now,
Yeah.
why? Were they trying to make it more
Realistic.
sinister looking?
Yeah,
One
that's kind of odd.
killer rams. Yeah, we do. Today we got the killer ram we're going after. So,
All right, exactly. Good one. Oh Lord.
well, John said it's a fairly new sport, but John, I don't know if you remember this. Back when we were in college, we came up with a very similar sport to this. Do you remember doing this by any chance? Something?
No, but you always help, bring this to light, okay, as we talk about these things. But no, please explain.
Somehow I find photos too. So but we must have been imbibing in something out of a keg one day and decided that we were going to go shooting with, we used pillows from the dorm, I think, and kind of propped them up as our animals. But we spent more time on the animals than we did on actually practicing archery. So the end result, I have some photos here. The end result, I think this is me. This was after a couple of times of attempting to shoot. My arrow pretty much ended up going in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember this. We decided to downsize. So we thought, well, maybe the problem is the equipment. So we moved to darts, and So this is John,
Oh, my.
a young John, with a couple of darts in his head. So darts didn't work. So John, we went to the quad, that big quadrangle in the middle of the campus where there was a lot of room,
Sure.
and we decided to use lawn darts. And I'm not sure who this is, but the end result was not
Oh,
good. We've got somebody down there with a lawn dart in the back of his head.
It's one of our fraternity brothers, I'm sure.
I think it was probably somebody from Beta Tau or one of the other fraternities.
One of the other fraternities, right? None of our guys. Hopefully, he's not one of our guys.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so we had a good time as always. So yeah, if you're interested, check out our YouTube videos on YouTube. You'll get to see all those fun photos that John and I have every week, along with a great sport, John. Thank you so much for that sport.
very interesting.
You're welcome, Paul and Karen.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, and I think that brings us to the time when I can take the sign down there, and we play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. Bluff the Co-host is very similar to the stories that the stories in Bluff the Co-host are very similar to the ones I've been telling all afternoon. Those were real. Bluff the Co-host, they may be real, they may be a bluff, and it's up to John and Karen and those of you playing at home to decide real or bluff. Wagering is allowed. This is Ohio. Super Bowl. Everybody's going to be betting on the Super Bowl. You can get ahead of the game here. Las Vegas has a line on Bluff the Co-host, so check it out. In the meantime, John and Karen, hand on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number one.
Okay.
A Dairy Queen employee got in trouble recently for trying to satisfy their customers by giving them burgers from the wrong royal family member. It seems the grill broke down near closing time at a Dairy Queen in Waco, Texas. Rather than turning away customers for the last half hour of business, one employee ran next door to a Burger King and bought all of the Whoppers that they had, then rewrapped them in Dairy Queen wrappers and snuck them under the warmer. The last few customers were happy, and everything was fine until Burger King management found out about it and began bragging that Dairy Queen was stealing their burgers. The employee was initially fired, but an uproar by regular customers of the Dairy Queen convinced the manager to just suspend him for a day for bringing food into the restaurant and then give him a raise for his quick thinking. Okay, so the Dairy Queen employee who ran out of burgers because the grill broke, so he ran next door, got some Burger King burgers, rewrapped them, and would have gotten away with it, but Burger King decided to take advantage of it. Real or bluff? Let's go. Karen, what do you say?
It really can't be real because they don't have enough pre-made for him to run next door to get them and put them under the warmer. Maybe one or two, but no. So I'm going to say you just bluffed us.
Oh, okay. Karen obviously knows her burgers. So Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
Karen makes a good point with that, but it was in Waco, Texas. So apologies to people that reside in Texas. Please understand that. It's a wonderful state. But I could see an employee with like kind of a smart aleck attitude saying, hey, I'm going to do this. I mean, no one's going to stop me. And so I think he did it, and I think it actually happened.
Wow. Okay. So John says it's a real. It was an employee that was a smart aleck, like one of us. Karen, on the other hand, said it's a bluff. So let's check with the judges, and the judges say, congratulations, Karen. That is a bluff.
Oh, so I'm off on a losing note again. Thanks again. Getting that one right though.
Plenty of time. We got two more questions.
You can still win.
Okay. So scores 1-0. Karen has vaulted into the lead. So let's get right to story number 2. A petting zoo in Maine is in trouble for running an illegal gambling operation in a back room for adults to wager on pro sports while their kids visited with the animals. The betting zoo managed to avoid being shut down for a year before local cops heard rumors that people were seen visiting the petting zoo without children and staying for hours. The zoo had standard gambling bets plus specials for teams with names of animals at the petting zoo, like the Cubs, the Rams, and the Colts. While sports betting is legal in Maine, the zoo did not have a proper gambling license and has now been shut down. The owner said he wasn't upset since running a petting zoo has always been a crapshoot anyway. All right, so the petting zoo in Maine that was running an illegal betting zoo out the back room. What do you say, John? Real or bluff?
I'm gonna, I'll tell you what, Paul and Karen, I'm gonna say it's real. I think betting is really a lot of people like to gamble, and there's various means and various methods. And even though this is somewhat unconventional, I'm gonna say it's a real story.
Okay, John says the betting zoo in Maine is real. Karen, how about you?
Well, I'm going to be a gambler and I'm going to say it's true. I have
Wow.
no
Okay.
evidence, but it's true.
No, just gut feel, no logic.
Nope.
So Karen says it's true. John says it's true. Let's see what the judges say. And the judges say, sorry, that was a bad bet. It's a bluff.
Oh,
Oh,
how
I'd
deflating!
like-
It's
I'd
very.
like
betting
you-
zoo. I'm
I
betting
like
zoo,
your
really?
thought, John. Hey,
I
Oh,
don't.
John,
I don't
okay.
know what's going on. I got some bad mojo today.
Don't worry. We're going into sudden overtime, sudden death overtime here. John can come back because points are doubled in round number 3.
that's
So
right.
that's right. So Karen, beyond of course, if Karen gets one, then she automatically wins. So let's see what happened with story number 3. 3 or 3. The owner of a vegan restaurant in Oregon was caught off guard when customers began complaining that the establishment was not truly 100% vegan because the candles on the tables were made from beef tallow, which obviously comes from the fat of cows. The owners were so mortified that they quickly removed the animal candles, but were not happy with the light given off by the soy wax vegan candles they replaced them with. Instead, they found a local greenhouse which had developed glow-in-the-dark plant, which gave off a pleasant green light after being exposed all day to sunlight. The bioluminescents are such a hit, to wait for tables after dark, and the restaurant is considering installing blackout curtains to bring back customers for breakfast and lunch. Okay, so the vegan restaurant in Oregon that had to get rid of the beef tallow candles and replace them with bioluminescent plant to fit with the vegan theme. What do you say? Let's see. We go to John. What do you say? Real or bluff?
I'm going to say it's real. I mean, it's very odd. It's very strange. That's why it's on our show. This this circumstance. But I'm gonna say it's real.
John says it's real. Okay. John, have you ever been in a vegan restaurant, John?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I was
How
just
about
leaving
you?
it.
What?
Well, I think they removed the candles, okay?
Okay.
But I don't think there are plants that give off light. So
Okay.
I'm going to say it's not true.
Oh, not true. That would be a bluff.
That would be a bluff.
Okay. So Karen says it's a bluff. John says it's real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, holy smokes, Karen, you're the winner this week. That is a bluff.
Karen, nice.
Wow.
There was one, I will say, there is one correct bit of information in there, in that there really are bioluminescent plants. That's what inspired this story.
Really?
Oh,
really?
yeah.
Didn't know that.
Glow in the dark. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look for them at Home Depot. I don't.
Petites.
Maybe not Home Depot.
Yeah, Petiti. Right there you are.
All right. Well, gee. So Karen is the winner this week. John has to spend.
Congrats, Karen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other than while the Super Bowl is on, John will be practicing with his flashcards for next week's Bluff the Co-host.
Yeah, I have to pay the price, so better luck to me next
All right. Well, speaking of paying the price, we have come to the end of Bluff the Co-host and What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our media mogul, our producer, our co-host. Thank you for everything you do for us, Karen, and for everybody, all the podcasts at newclevelandradio.net. Please go to her website, check out our podcast, and then all the other great podcasts that Karen has there. As always, I want to thank my old buddy, John DiNallo, for being the good sport that he is, the expert that he is, and all around great guy. John, Hope you see a winner this weekend at the Super Bowl, whichever team you're rooting for.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. And I really don't have a strong interest for either team. I'm just looking for a good game. So
good game.
Hope it's a
And
good
if
game.
Miley Cyrus shows up, it'll be even better.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, you know that.
And of course, as always, the last but not least, I want to thank all of you listening to us, watching us on YouTube. You're the reason why we do the show every week. Without you, it wouldn't be as much fun. I hope that you have as good of a time listening to the show and watching us as we have putting it on. Remember, go to YouTube. You can see all the great photos, the dumb photos of John and I in college and all the other fun stuff that we talk about. On that note, we will be back on Tuesdays next week. Our regular day, so we got one less day to find the weird news stories, but we will find them, I promise. And
we will.
Yes.
And a special thanks to my new friend, Mark in Houston. Thank you for finding me and bantering with me today. So
that's right. We welcome all conversations with our loyal fans. So thanks, Mark. And we'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye.